Now, Nigeria's crude oil production climbed to 1.459 million barrels per day in January 2026, strengthening its position as Africa's top oil producer, but still below its OPEC quota. Now, the figures are from OPEC's latest monthly oil market report. Now, while the data shows a modest month-on-month increase in output, it also highlights Nigeria's ongoing challenge in meeting its assigned production ceiling under the OPEC agreement. But Dangote Petroleum Refinery says it has now reached its full nameplate capacity of 650,000 barrels per day, following the restoration and optimization of its crude distillation unit and petrol production block. According to the company, this marks a significant milestone and what it describes as a global first for a single-train refinery of that scale. In a statement on Wednesday, the refinery says it has begun a 72-hour intensive performance test run in collaboration with its technology partner, UOP. Now, the exercise is aimed at validating operational stability, efficiency, and compliance with international standards. The Central Bank of Nigeria has approved the participation of licensed bureau de change operators in the Nigerian foreign exchange market. Under the new directive, each BDC will be allowed to purchase up to $150,000 weekly. The approval was conveyed in a circular and signed by the Director of the Trade and Exchange Department, Dr. Musa Nakoji. It was addressed to authorized dealer banks and the general public. Joining me now to discuss these in a lot more detail is Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu. Good morning to you, Mr. Chika. Very well, thanks, and you? Great. We have quite a bit to get through. I guess we should begin with Nigeria's crude oil output.
It looks, the saying is that when Nigerian economy, when oil sneezes,
everyone catches a cold, isn't
Nigerian
it?
economy catches a cold. So this is very important for us.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. I mean, that we're celebrating, this 1.459 million barrels per day production level for a nation that had, at the time, hit 2 million barrels and above.
Yeah. And
so you can see that we're celebrating, but not celebrating. Even at the 1.459 million barrels a day, we are still far below our OPEC quota, which we're told for 6 months now consecutively we're not be able to meet it. I mean, there was a time during the low-cost years of the Buhari government that the Minister for Petroleum, when oil prices were actually above $100 per barrel, were saying that Nigeria doesn't like. Whereas every other oil producing country was celebrating, enjoying the fortune from that higher price. Nigerian ministers were saying that, oh no, we don't like high oil prices. I mean, understandably, because then there were the days of high oil subsidy. Because remember that when oil prices are very high, the petrol imports also very high, and the subsidies are very high. But now, luckily, again, tied into the second story that we have, which has to do with Dangote refinery, you will find that we are almost self-sufficient in the local production of petroleum products. And so subsidy is gone, and the oil prices should please go to the roof, so Nigeria can profit from that. At the time, we used to, in a small corner, celebrate when we had 1 or 2 bombs, being thrown somewhere, and which will spike the price of oil, and therefore Nigeria will profit from that. So this is commendable, but we still far below our capability. And interestingly, the budget benchmark for 2026 budgeting is 1.8 million barrels a day, Abby. Now, at where we're hanging now, which is 1.459 per day, we're still below that. So it tells immediately up front that we may have issues of budget deficit from beginning. So there's so much to do that. You hear me say that when oil prices sneeze, Nigeria catches cold, because of the fact that this is a major source of foreign exchange. It's always funny analyzing this, because if you look at our GDP, which a lot of people are pushing out, that there's a success in GDP growth, you will find that oil contribution sometimes hovers below 10%, as a contribution to that GDP of Nigeria, at that level. Now, when it comes to foreign exchange source, the major source of foreign exchange is oil.
Yeah.
Little contribution to our GDP, but the massive contribution to our revenues and that. So this is why it's very, very important for our country.
Yeah,
and
you're absolutely right.
We hope that the government can continue to push that to make sure that we continue to move the quota up. And Nigeria will profit better from
absolutely.
that.
I mean, surely this signals a gradual recovery in output levels in spite of the operational challenges within the oil sector. But, double-edged sword, like you mentioned, it's quite bittersweet. And we hope that we're able to, fill that gap. Let's move on and look at the Dangote refinery, which you've just, touched on, hitting 650,000 barrels per day. Certainly a major operational milestone, isn't it?
Exactly. The nameplate of the refinery is at 650,000 barrels per day, and then of crude per day. And we have been reading about the concerted effort by the management of the Dangote refinery to expand some units, especially the CDU, the crude oil distillation unit, and of course, again, the motor spirit production block, to make sure that this is achieved. Gradually, they have done that, and if this is done now, it means that Dangote refinery will be in a position to provide to Nigeria 5 million barrels, 5 million liters of white products, PMS per day, which is far more than what we can consume daily, and based on current consumption levels. And again, it will be enough also for export. Dangote refinery coming on stream has been a major defining blow for the Nigerian economy. We'll see the impacts in several levers. One of them has to do with the fact that with the coming on stream, commitment to FX to import finished products has reduced, and that accretion has gone towards our reserves. And you'll find that our reserves have gone up because of less commitment of FX to importing finished products. So this is very commendable, and we hope that Nigerian government continues to support the refinery, provide the crude they require to do local we produce crude here. It has been said in the past that Dangote, the crudes from Nigeria are sold internationally, and then Dangote buys the crude again internationally to bring back to the refinery, which add layers of cost to its production costs. And we hope that the Crude for Naira program introduced by our president continues to make sure that Nigeria is getting the benefits of that. Of course, you will see the overhangs of those who are still importing. We can't shut it down. It's a business. And Dangote has just had to reorder their business model to make sure that they compete fairly. I don't think that the government will come out and completely and say we ban importation because it's a business. A lot of people defend the livelihood. But the issue is that the government must give an incentive to make sure the refinery thrives.
Certainly very laudable development. And you're so right about the support. We see it now, but the sustainability and sustenance of it for the future is just as important. Let's wrap up with looking at the CBN reopening the official FX market to licensed BDC. I want to stress the word licensed.
Yes,
what should we know about this?
This has been stop, go, stop. When I saw the news, I didn't know, you never know when they're banned or unbanned and stuff like that. But CBN has spent some time trying to cleanse the BDC market. Yeah. Remember the recapitalization of the market to, without a lot of people a lot of companies who are not, have the right corporate governance structure, transparency and integrity to be able to play in the market, which is what's necessary. We have seen in the past that those times CBN, they have a very important, they have a very important part to play. The retail segment of the market is stabilizing price. CBN will discharge the dollars, and they come out, and then we hear things about, even at the gate of central bank, they sell the FX at very high rates, defeating the aim of central bank. But CBN tries to sanitize the industry, move the capital base up for them, and then the numbers reduce now, and this has come up again. But there are very austere conditions now to meet, principally the KYC, know your customer segment, to make sure that only the right people get the dollars for what it's meant for: school fees, medical expenses, and travel, and other retail segments of the market, to provide some stability into the FX market. rarely do you go to some economies, even the developed ones, where you don't have some disparity between the official and the market, or the so-called parallel market. But the disparity number sometimes is less than 1%, sometimes 5%. It will somehow still exist. But let it not be the way those times we had 200 naira, 300 naira. And we commend CBN that has not happened. These days, Abby, because of the things CBN has done, you can travel with a naira card and go abroad now. And spend naira cards and buy the things you want to buy, and which is good. It reduces the pressure on the FX market and the uncertainty that makes people to accumulate FX when they don't need it, which puts pressure on the prices, have all become latent.
Right.
And so CBN is action commendable in that respect.
Right.
I hope that BDCs will reciprocate with transparency, transparency reporting as when due, good corporate governance structures to make sure the CBN doesn't reverse this again.
Absolutely, because the integrity of the process, as you mentioned earlier, is really key. And I hope that this also applies to returns and settlement. I would imagine that that's also part of it. I want to thank you so much, Rise business analyst Chika Mbonu, as always, for joining us. And we hope to see you again tomorrow.